Hey, welcome to Real Talk, episode 38. I'm Todd. This is AJ.
Hello.
And we are so excited to be here with you. We're back.
We are
I feel
back.
like I have to say it.
Every week, it's coming at you. 38 episodes in. We're
Yeah.
getting close to the 50 that we talked about long ago.
That is true.
It's pretty wild.
It's been a long time.
Long journey.
It's been a long day. I'm trying to think of that song.
Which is it? Is it the one that was on the radio?
Been a
Long day.
without you, my friend.
That's right.
We've missed you guys. So yeah, welcome. This is Real Talk. What's Real Talk? Real Talk's just a chance to have real talk. Typically about God, life, the Bible, society, culture, all that stuff, how it all fits together. And we don't promise to have all the perfect or right answers, but we do promise to take it seriously. And man, if nothing else, point you to where the answers can be found, and that's in the Bible. So
That's right.
pretty much it. A couple of business items up above. If you'd like to submit a question for Real Talk, there's a link, www.theremnant.live/real-talk. Pull up a form fillable box, type in your question or topic, hit submit. It gets sent to our database completely anonymous. Could not find you if we tried, and believe us, we've tried sometimes.
All the time.
Infamous question number 11.
That's right. Number 11.
So, in all seriousness, we'd love to, love to talk about your topic. So go ahead and shoot that in. Also, up above, you'll see a link. Excuse me, for if you'd like to donate to our ministry, we'd really appreciate that. Reality is that's just how it goes. It goes straight to
That's right.
the ministry. www.theremnant.life/give.
/give.
You hit that. I'm doing well today. You hit that, there'll be a drop-down box. You go down to Real Talk, fill in your information, do it from your phone, and it's completely tax deductible, so you can go ahead and claim it on your taxes.
That's right. Uncle Sam will give you money back.
So hey, if you're some millionaire out there who wants to give $10,000,
Hey, Kanye.
so in all seriousness, there you go. Hey, maybe we should reach out to Kanye.
Dude, I'm in. I'll
Okay.
tweet at him.
Done. Coming up.
See you soon, Kanye.
We hope. Come to Real Talk.
Imagine that. Imagine.
What if Kanye showed up on
You know
Real
what's
Talk?
crazy is I literally remember this just hit me probably
dream?
a year ago
You dream
when
Kanye
we
would
first
be on this?
started talking about Real Talk. When we were talking about celebrities, I was like, what if we had Kanye West on? Now he's a believer.
Kanye, you tell us what that means.
You just made me laugh.
I did not make you. Oh man. Speaking of, there is gum in my mouth, and I'm just telling you right now, it's driving me mad because I feel like they're gonna hear it. But I guess our guy here is gonna tell us. Well, I have it hidden up in my jaw right now.
You could always take it out.
No, that's awkward. So instead, I'll just talk about it being in my jaw. So, yeah, what we typically do here is we start out by just kind of talking about our weeks. If you were to go to our Facebook page, where most of you are seeing this, although some of it's on YouTube, and we have some
very
YouTube viewers, which we appreciate. Shout out to you guys. We'd love to have you give us a comment in the comments below.
That's right.
Smash that subscribe button. I've always wanted to say that.
I love that.
Anyway, yeah. What was I gonna say? I don't remember. It was important. Business.
How do we start Real Talk?
Nope. But I was gonna differentiate between this. If you go to our Facebook, you'll see another one, Real Talk Live, which we do every Thursday
Yes.
at 9:00. That one's a little more wild, fun, adventurous.
Yep.
Different segments. This is we have fun, but I think we like go a little deeper.
Absolutely. More in depth, for sure.
That is exactly what deeper means.
Yep.
Well done. So, yeah, man. So how's your week been?
It's been, I feel like last week we recorded this, I think I said it was kind of a roller coaster, and I kind of feel the same way, but we talked earlier before we came on, and one thing we spoke about, and you and I, we both get fired up over this, is just the idea of religion, and how people tend to just follow religion, especially in today's modern Christianity. We've managed to get sucked into this weird culture of just religion. There's no it's not real to me, and it just blows my mind how people live the way they do. And it's just, I don't know, man. It makes me wonder what what are they reading? What are they looking at? Church with a capital C. Because a lot of just the people that I've seen in the culture, in the faith, it's like they're blind, man. But it's a different kind of blind. And like we've talked about, I kind of mentioned this earlier. you know, you and I, you know, one thing that we're very similar in is we know our flaws, and since we know our flaws, we're very thankful for Jesus, right? And we, you know, even though there can be times where we beat ourselves up, it makes it that much sweeter that what he did for us. But for, you know, some of these other people that are out there, you know, following the same faith that we are, they seem to they're blind in the way of that they say they're not blind, you know, and Jesus talks about that. But it's just a different kind of blind, man, and it's hard for me to explain other than it's just religion, you know. So it's on my mind right now, and it just, I don't know, I get in a weird, I don't want to say mood, but it just gets me a little fired up, you know, because they're not the only ones they're affecting when they put off this religion, you know, that can turn people away from from what true love is, what true life is, that can turn people away from growing, and it can also just lead people blindly their whole lives. And so it's a big deal. And since I am, you know, part of this faith, I'm a part of the church, you know, it does affect me. So I guess it's a little bit of a, I don't want to say, not anger, but more just frustration and sadness because of that.
Do you have like an example so the audience, because I know what you mean.
Yeah.
And they may too, but like if you can think of one that maybe from the past or something that comes to mind.
Now, I don't want to,
Sure, I get it. I mean, make it as general as you can.
sure, like, okay.
But at the same time, it's
You know
real
what?
talk,
I'll
so.
share an actual story. How about
Okay.
that? So, when I used to work at a call center, booking hotels, and I had a guy call in, and don't get me wrong, he was nice, kind of straightforward, really to the point, you know, and just kind of wanted to, you know, speed it up. And I was like, okay, so I got all of his information for what he wanted, and then when I asked him for his name, he said, you know, son, my name is Pastor something something. I don't remember his name, obviously, and I wouldn't share it anyway. But I said, okay, and then I, you know, typed in his name, and then when I addressed him, because for me, you know, I like to address people by their names.
Sure.
It makes it feel more personable. I addressed him by his first name, and then he said, it's Pastor something. And he said it in one of those ways of like, you know, that's a requirement when you say my name. And to me, I was like
offended.
Dude. And it's one of those things. It's like we're putting this.
That was fairly early in your faith journey.
It
too,
was
right?
too. And like to me, I was like, man, what the heck? Like, why
Did you get mad?
I did. Like, I got so.
Well, I mean, you're also wondering why he got mad at you about
exactly. I was like, man, you don't even know me, and you're sitting here claiming to be a pastor, yet you're giving me attitude over a phone. And you know, if I wasn't who I was, you could have changed my life forever. I would have never wanted to know God. That's how I felt about it.
Yeah.
And so, it's just stuff like that. Like, it feels so. It's like they're blind to the point where, yeah, I don't know, man. It's hard to put words to.
Yeah,
Like, that's
no.
just an example. People just using it's like they're in it for the title. You know, it makes me, and I'm not saying maybe that guy was a good pastor and maybe he does live it out and maybe it just come on a bad day, but at the end of the day, like that affected me, and that could have affected somebody else way worse if it wasn't me. And I don't know, man. It's just weird.
Well, and realistically, I like that you said I could have a bad day or whatever, but
Yeah.
it's just kind of the heart behind it that's
Sure.
affecting you. Yeah, man. I mean, clearly, I struggle with that too. So, kind of to give a definition of religion in itself when we say it, because there's a religion. I mean, we follow a religion by the definition. We follow Jesus Christ. It's really the only one it should be. But religion, in the way that he's talking, I think, is man-made rules or laws, sort of, or
valuables
that we are putting above the heart of things. So, for instance, I think this would be a good description. In Scripture, it talks about, in the Bible, Jesus is talking to the religious elite. And what I mean by that is the religious leaders. That's what Pharisees, Sadducees are for those. It doesn't matter. We won't go into the history of it. But essentially, they're kind of the most holy looking.
Yeah.
He starts going through and he starts explaining to them. He goes, listen, you go around and you wear this. I'm paraphrasing. You wear your fancy robes and you make sure to give 1/10 of this, of your money and all these things. And you always do all these things for everyone to see. But you neglect the greater things that I want. He mentions justice. I think it's justice, love, and mercy. Now I got to look it up just because that part is important.
Yeah, man. It's just, I'm glad you're doing this because I think people need to hear this.
Yeah, I don't want to read the whole thing because some of it so he says, says you travel over land and sea. You make an oath. You neglect them. Okay, you pay a tenth. You give your money. Yet you have neglected the more important matters of the law: justice, mercy, and faith. These things you should have done without neglecting the others. Blind guides, you strain out a gnat, yet gulp down a camel.
Mm.
Woe to you! I'm going to paraphrase: religious leaders, you hypocrites. You clean the outside of the cup and dish, but inside you're full of greed and self-indulgence. Blind people, first clean the inside of the cup, so the outside of it may also become clean.
Mm.
Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! You are like whitewashed tombs, which appear beautiful from the outside, but inside are full of dead men's bones and every impurity. In the same way, on the outside you seem righteous to people, but inside you're full of hypocrisy and lawlessness. And so it's the idea of doing things in church culture, Christian culture, that look good while neglecting love and mercy and humility and gentleness and kindness and patience and all these things. And that happens a lot. And and it's weird because it is frustrating. And we're not saying, he said this earlier, we're certainly not perfect. And it's not saying that those, what I like about the focus here, what Jesus said, he said, those are good things. You give a tenth of your money, you give all these things, that's good. But you should have done both.
Yep.
You should have done that while still loving love, justice, and faith. You should have still made that a priority. You didn't, and you instead chose to do what looks good on the outside, a whitewashed tomb. But inside, you don't want to deal with this stuff that's inside. Jesus goes on later and says, listen, there's nothing, or before that, says nothing that goes inside a man is what makes him unclean, makes him sinful. It's the stuff that comes out of your heart. So yeah, we deal with that a lot here because we try to do things differently.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying different is better, but we do, the way we say it here, and I've said this a lot, is, and I think a lot of people do, anytime you try to do something different to reach different people, so we just try to like change the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
Some people aren't used to really fancy cake, or maybe, so they, perfect cake. So like we just give them cake with regular frosting on it, maybe, so that they will try the cake. What's the cake in this analogy? Jesus, and like telling them the truth of the gospel. And sometimes people get so caught up on, it could be anything. It could be, your music is this, it's too dark in here. You guys, I'm trying to think of what I've heard before. You dress this way, you let people wear this. You know, it's all these silly things that at the end of the day,
very silly.
I had someone in our church, I told this story, I'm going to say it, it's okay. Someone in our church was having a discussion with someone from another church, and it was kind of cool. They were trying to get them to join their church, which is whatever. I think it's cool when you're passionate. I don't think you should try to steal from another church. But they said, "Oh, so is your pastor a real pastor?"
I was about to bring this
And
up.
they said, and this person from our church goes, "What do you mean?" And they said, "Well, you know, a real pastor. Like, are they ordained? Did they go to seminary?" Now, the idea behind that being a real pastor, in this case, yes, but it's so silly because what does that mean?
Yeah. Like,
and I honestly, I think this person asking, I'm not mad at them because I even asked because they said this person was really nice. They just literally, in my opinion, are ignorant to even think that way.
That's right. Yeah.
Why would you even think that way?
Yeah, because like,
not again. It's hard in real talk sometimes because you feel like people are going to take snapshots of what you say and then run off with it.
Right.
None of those things are bad. Seminary's not bad. I went to seminary. All these type of things. But at the end of the day, that's not, God can pick
whoever he wants
to do what he wants to do.
Yeah, like there's no, to me, the word that came to my mind was eligibility. Like people
that's
act
good.
like only certain
Qualified.
people are eligible
Yeah.
to do stuff like, preach or all these things, and that's
Which creates a priesthood, by the way, which creates some sort of elevated priesthood when Jesus said, we're all priests.
Exactly.
We have different gifts. And that's always been my thing with pastoring. The reason I always struggled with the title is I get it. I will allow people to use it here. I'm okay with it because I get that it helps them. I understand it, and also I'm not uncomfortable with it. I joke a lot. But it is a gift. It's not necessarily a position. And nowadays, a pastor is supposed to be everything. He's supposed to have every gift, and that's not realistic. And I wonder if sometimes pastors themselves buy into that, and they think they have every gift. And I don't think most of them. I think most people have good intentions.
Right.
So we're not just talking about pastors. We're just talking about that kind of mentality.
People in general, sure. And like this actually just kind of came to me. Like, I'm not even again, I'm not even mad that people would say stuff like that. It's more, it makes it feel like when people say those kinds of things, it makes me worry about them because it makes me question if they think about themselves as the whitewashed tomb or not. Because I know for me, I'm terrified of being the whitewashed tomb. I am terrified of that being a possibility. And so I think that changes me and that helps me. But for those people, I feel like that doesn't cross their mind, and that scares me because then it feels like they're not claiming that they're blind. You know?
Which is what Jesus said, yeah, and that's scary. You're right, and it angers me because it separates people. Because and this is why you get upset too. I know you is because you came from a place that you knew you weren't good enough.
Yep.
In your own right, you were like, I could never go to church. I can't get cleaned up. And sometimes
right.
when these people say that, it just strengthens that lie. Instead of what Jesus said, I didn't come for the righteous, I came for the sinners, meaning he's going to grab us right there in the midst of our sin and save us. So sometimes, guys, I guess what we're saying is it's sort of frustrating the things we focus on. In overall, I'm not insulting anyone. I think if you were to take church by church, people by people want to follow Jesus. I believe that, and they do their best. But I think as a culture, what we allow to be acceptable or what the things we focus on are so silly. Sometimes, at least they're silly. They're still important. Like it's important to, whatever. I don't think we should ever argue about music and all. I think it's dumb. But I'm just being real. Sure. But are there things that we should keep? Yes, but not at the expense of love, justice, and faith, and all those types of things. And Jesus 100%. Said in the Bible, he said, "They will know you are my disciples by your love for one another." And I guess the frustration is when you put religion over love for one another, that's a problem.
Absolutely.
Because religion doesn't save. Jesus saves.
That's right. That's it. It's the only way.
So I don't know. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. If you, have you had experiences like that? Do you understand what we mean? Is there, what do you guys think about that? The idea of that?
Yeah. Drop a comment.
Yeah. Yeah. So overall though, your week's been.
Yeah. Overall, I kind of went on a tangent, but overall it's been pretty good. I've been faced with a lot of realities of, trying to remember who I am in Christ. Because again, this kind of correlates with what we just kind of talked about. I struggle with not feeling like I'm good enough, or if I do mess up, that people aren't going to forgive me, or people are going to look at me differently. So, part of that is humbling, part of that's condemning, and I have to do better at either making that convicting or just remembering who I am, I guess. So, yeah, overall it's been good though. It's when I have times where I feel like I'm kind of sinking into a shell, when I finally am able to bust open that shell and come back out, it's a relief. And I guess kind of today was that. So
that's good.
So I'm good. But yeah, I was a little fired up from earlier, so I had to bring it up.
Yeah.
How about you though? How are you?
The weirdest thing, and I've told you this, and I joke about it, but I don't get fired up as much. And if anyone knows me, I'm a very passionate, fired up person. So we had a church basketball game Saturday. And I was competitive and wanted to win, but I was not competitive like me. I wasn't fired up. That was my first clue. I was like, well, that's weird. And then ever since, and even now, I'm abnormally calm, which is a concern. Which shows you the level of anxiety that I live under sometimes. I'm anxious that I'm not anxious. So my passion, I'm always like, oh Lord, I don't want to lose that. But I've been doing some dietary stuff. So I wonder if that's affecting it. Yeah. So being real with you guys, that's this weird thing that's happened lately. I'm not super, you may even notice in my mood, there's benefits to it for sure.
Oh yeah.
But when it comes to day-to-day life and me, I'm not sad or anything.
Yeah.
I would even say that I have pretty good energy. I'm just very calm. And that's weird.
The thing that sucks about that is it's good personally, but then since people know you,
yes,
they're like, what's wrong with Todd?
Yeah. Have people said that around lately?
No, but
they probably will.
Yeah, exactly. Unless they watch this.
Yeah. So that's been kind of weird, but really cool. We have a big race. We call it a race to 100.
Oh, dude, it's so encouraging.
So our church is racing to grow our congregation and really be outward focused and bringing people in, and that kind of thing. And first week, the idea is to hit it 2 weeks in a row. The first week we hit it. It was surreal. And then we're going to have to boost it. I've already been thinking race to whatever, and so that was really exciting. It was cool to celebrate. I could feel the energy in the room of
Oh
like,
yeah.
what?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
So that was really, really cool. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think one of the other thing I would say that's been going on lately is, you know this, I'm pretty driven,
Mm-hmm.
and I have not felt as driven. And I kind of wonder if that correlates to the lack of being fired up. So that concerns me because, one, even driven to get stuff done. I don't like that. Like, I like to be productive and get stuff done, and I haven't been as much. And it's not laziness, because I know that feeling. It is literally a feeling of kind of like, not even bad though. Like, I don't know how to
Do you
describe
think
it.
it's maybe it's not a lack of sense of drive, but maybe it's an actual feeling of contentment? Maybe
That would be funny. This is a miserable feeling, right?
I'm content.
Yeah.
What?
Could be, but it concerns me a little. And then I'm a dreamer, as you know. So some of the things I was really fired up about, for instance, our campus in Napanee, I just said it, our other campus, I've kind of pulled back off that a little bit, and I'm not sure why. So again, nothing I would say is even negative. Just, that was an odd thing that happened off camera. I can't even. Sorry. Ridiculous. The guy took a drink and then he put it back in the drink. I didn't understand it. Anyway,
Oh, I missed
he's
it.
saying he didn't. He 100% did. Long story short, got completely off topic. So that's been a, sort of the only different thing
Yeah.
that I've been dealing with. A lot of change happening. So one of our good friends, a Remnant House guy, starting internship, former, he's getting married in 2 weeks.
That's right.
Very excited. Less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's
very
coming.
very excited, but also I'm very sentimental, and I'm sitting around going, huh. And I had another friend, a guy that I sort of mentored, who came up to me once, and I've told you this, and he's been married for a couple of years, but about a year after he was married, he said, Todd, I feel like since I got married, he wasn't mean. He goes, you just kind of forgot about me. And I thought about that, and it kind of goes back to this tendency I have sometimes in my life to, when people move on, I just sort of go, I move on too. And I still love them. I don't think bad of them. I'm not mad, but it's just this thing that I do that I don't want to do sometimes. Like, I don't want to make people feel that way.
It makes me...
So I'm kind of all over the place probably. I'm just trying to fill you guys in.
Yeah.
Hey, production guy, is this too all over? Or does it seem to be real to people? Okay, he gives us double thumbs up. So
I would say that is... It makes me wonder, because I don't have a clear answer for that, but it makes me wonder if that is just part of like a fact of life in an instance, or I don't know. I don't know what that is, but I don't think there should be any sort of like feeling bad about it, because like you said, still love them, right? So I think
yeah, but why do I have a tendency to pull out of their life? And I did, and I do.
Do you think you need, like,
you know? So that's sort of weird.
Gotcha.
Like,
So
in the sense of I'm not as involved, right?
okay,
So it'd be like, you get married tomorrow, and the only time I talk to you is at Real Talk.
gotcha.
Does that make sense? Like, that would be weird, right?
Now, do you think you do that subconsciously, or is that like a conscious
Yes, I
decision?
think it's. I've analyzed this before. I think I'm very independent, and I'm very used to being on my own, and I'm very used to people. You know, we all have things we grow up and have, and I think I've just been used to people move on. So maybe a defense mechanism plus some of that. But anyway, so just a lot of exciting things happening, and just it's in a weird place a little bit, in the sense, I feel like I say that a lot, but in the sense that calm, a lot of change happening. You know, and I want to get excited again about all the things we were doing, because I bet if we went and watched, you want to be convicted, I bet if we went and watched some of our earlier episodes and how excited we were about some of our plans, I wonder if we're as excited anymore. So for instance, we have a documentary out there. We haven't messed with that in a long time, and we really wanted to do it.
That's right.
Podcast, a lot of our media stuff, you know, and why aren't we doing it? I know it's not because we're lazy.
Right.
There seems to be some sort of, like, I don't know, lack of drive a little bit, maybe.
That's very possible.
Or you get caught up in the things you have to do weekly, which need to be done and are good, but at the expense of of some of the dreaming. And I'm a dreamer, man, and I'm scared that all of a sudden, this is gonna sound so irrational. What if I'm like, that's gone now? I've hit some plateau in my life. I hit the age where I'm like, well, you're not a dreamer anymore. It's over. I don't want to be that guy. But hey, beyond that, just very thankful to see how God's moving. And we had a really good men's group Sunday night, I thought. some guys sharing. So that was really encouraging.
Agreed.
So that's kind of my
That was
week.
awesome. Yeah.
I feel like I ramble. Sorry, guys.
No, it's good. I love it. Your rambles turn into beautiful things. So
Nice. That's a tagline.
hey.
We do have a couple. We have one question that came in. Two. One's more topical.
Okay.
So we'll try to get into them. Sorry, they're on my phone today, so I'll just bring it up. And first one is: if you say a prayer in your head but not out loud, is that still a prayer?
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, just to keep it short, yeah, I think so. Again, we've mentioned this before, and I know for me, when I first became a believer, prayer was very confusing to me. I've mentioned this on previous episodes, but it's always good to bring up again because you never know who's watching. I didn't know how to pray, and I thought it was, I usually have a term for it if I can think about it. Oh, what do I call it? I don't think prayer should have to be like this letter to God that's, punctuated and fancy and, Thou Father, I pray to you today. It doesn't have to
Why
be
did
like
you
that.
get an accent when
I
you did?
don't know.
Hello.
Shakespeare.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like that, and we've talked about this several times. So when it comes to praying to God, God, He's always there. He's always there. So that, and whether we're talking Him out loud or if we're, saying it inside of our heads, He's in our, think about, in your own thoughts when you're not even praying, like He's there. We talk about that quiet voice. He's there. So of course, if you're saying something in your head, yeah, He can hear it. I think, to me personally, I don't know if you can disagree with this, but I don't know if there's really much of a difference between praying out loud and praying in your own head by yourself. I don't really think there's much of like impactful difference in that. So yeah, it's still considered prayer.
Yep. The only caveat I would add to that, and this kind of goes deep. The only time I would say and this is not something I could answer for someone. They would have to check their own heart. If the only reason you're not praying out loud is pride or shame or fear, then it's not even about the words. It's about why in your heart are you afraid to be embarrassed? Are you afraid to talk to God?
That's good.
So that would be the only thing I would say. Other than that, absolutely, it's still prayer.
Yep.
There's times, that you can't maybe speak out loud because you're in a situation. There's times I'm talking to someone, maybe I'm in a counseling session, and I'm praying as they're talking, like, Lord, I want to make sure I say the right things here. Help me,
Yep.
Just keeping that reliance. But yeah, that's the only caveat I would add. That is making sure that it isn't coming from a place of shame, pride, or fear. Because then you got to say, why is that?
Yep.
Other than that,
300%. That's good.
Absolutely, would say, yeah, it's a prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, what happens to people that can't talk anymore but are still lucid, right? They can still pray.
Nice. Got him.
Why do adults, second question, why do adults rarely have friends? Specifically, friends of the same sex. So like women with women, men with men. Mm-hmm. And then the follow-up is, what effect does this have on our culture? And before we start, I would agree. I feel like when we become adults, I think they've done statistics on this. Mm-hmm. I don't have them off the top of my head, but we've talked about it on a previous episode. Mm-hmm. Adults rarely have close friends of relationships, meaningful relationships. They might have work friends, people that they laugh with, even go out with, but they don't have people that real deep friendships. So particularly with the same sex. So I know the person who sent this question also gave the example. So a lot of times, and I've heard this personally, women will say, "Oh, I'm not friends with other women. I'm more comfortable with men."
I've heard that. Mm-hmm.
And even it can kind of go the same way. Men will say, or you'll see them hanging out with women more than other men. Yeah. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. We've talked about that. Some guys, there'll be a group of guys hanging out, and you'll see this guy over there just with why is that? And do you think that has an effect on our culture? Or what are we missing out on too?
I think it definitely has an effect on our culture. I know you bring this up a lot, and I really appreciate it. Is you said, I believe is it Viking culture? You say, men would take in the boys and they would just mentor them. That was just part of life. That's what they did. It would always be that one-on-one time with the men. I think that creates close relationships, and I think that creates true growing, when we try to rely on someone of the opposite sex, especially in like a relational standpoint of friendship, or really just any sort of capacity, like we're not built, like we're not made the same, so you can't get the same out of them. That's why it's so important to have father figures, or just really present fathers. Anyways, whole other topic. But I think that when it comes to people struggling to have those relationships, I think there's this weird pressure to have a significant other in today's society. You know, I feel like people feel very demoralized and they feel like they're looked down upon when they're single, or the only way they're not looked down upon, or they feel demoralized if they're some sort of like bachelor.
Why do you think that once they're married, so they have one, they still don't feel comfortable having friends? You know, guys don't hang out with guys. Women don't
It's a
have
great
close
question.
women friends.
It's so funny. I think they feel that pressure beforehand, right? Like they're single. They're like, man, I just, I need to have a woman or I need to have a man. And so they're always trying to create that persona to get that person. And then when they eventually find that person, that's all they care about. It's very interesting. It's almost like they switch, but it's the outcome's still the same, right? So when they're single, they don't have any friends because they feel like that's their only focus. And then when they get married, it's still their only focus.
Yeah.
It's really weird. I hope that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense
I think
or not.
it does. I also think there's this weird thing. So if you're a lady, and who's the only person that can tell you if you're being a good woman? Is it really a guy or another woman?
I couldn't.
Right? So there's a sense of pride in maybe when we're with the same gender, we are being held to a standard naturally, and we don't want to be.
That's
So,
yeah.
and
That's,
even with
never thought
guys,
about it like that.
right? So,
Huh.
a woman isn't going to be able to tell you really, you don't feel, why are men more competitive with men than women? Because it's only with other men that you sort of have a standard by which manhood is being judged.
Makes sense.
Does that make sense? And
Yeah.
the same for ladies. So I think some of it's pride. I think it's fear of being known, fear of being rejected, fear of being seen as less than.
I feel like we compare ourselves a lot more
Yeah,
in the same
yeah,
sex too.
absolutely. I think that's what I mean by that. So,
Mhm.
so and also I think there's a fear of, so married couples in particular. I think there's a fear of the married. It's almost like, okay, we're married, so now we have this agreement that we have to make everything look perfect on the outside, and if we let too many people into that, they're going to see the flaws. I think it's dangerous to not have friendships of the same sex. Believe it or not, I think that's not really healthy because, again, as from a man's perspective, I remember reading this in a book by, I believe, John Eldridge, and it said, masculinity bestows masculinity. And what that means is a cat, let me put it in, this is my own terms, a cat can't teach a dog how to be a dog.
Yep.
Only another dog can, right?
Mhm.
A woman can't teach a man how to be a man. He has to be around other men.
Amen.
And so the beauty of other men spending time together in society, it wasn't just Viking culture. I use that example because I think that's pretty cool. But throughout history is they rub shoulders together, they push each other, they hold each other as standard, right? A woman is going to be typically more understanding. It's okay, right? Whereas a guy's gonna be like, hey man, you gotta do better.
That's right. You gotta shape
Or
up.
vice versa. Maybe women don't want to be told that they should do better or they by another woman. And I think it's a rivalry. I think it's a comparison. I think it's the Great Masquerade we talk about, which we are going to do a video for eventually and try to get people to understand. We should just do it. Just put it on the calendar and do it. Anyway, I think that's part of it. What are we missing out on? I think we're missing out on growth. The Bible says, for instance, older men teach the younger men, older women teach the younger women. Men, we see the example of Paul teaching Timothy, rubbing shoulders with them. Paul had friends. Jesus had male friends. Yes, he had some female friends, but he had male friends. These were the people close to him, and vice versa. So someone just told me about this. I guess I was actually just on a phone call before this, and someone, shout out to Jess if she's watching, I think it was Jess, put on her Facebook an article that they found a correlation between back in the day when people wash clothes, they would a lot of the ladies would go together to the same place and wash clothes, and then when the actual individual household washers and dryers came, there was an increase in depression.
Really?
Lack of community. So you had a set time that all the ladies would come together. Now you're alone.
Wow. Wow.
So you're not having. We are in probably the most lonely period of human history.
Agreed.
Even though we're the most connected we've ever been in human history. Connected, right? Social media. I don't really think it's social. It's just, I don't know. It's such a weird thing. So I think those are some of the reasons. I think it takes transparency to be close friends with anyone.
Agreed.
And we don't want to do that.
Yep.
That's my thoughts.
It's definitely a battle.
But people long to have it most of the time. That's
It's
the weird
very
part too.
weird.
They
Yeah.
want the relationship without the work.
Yep.
We've talked to several people about that. A lot of people in our, for instance, we had a period in our time in our church, and I'm not saying this doesn't happen, where people were like, well, there's cliques.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we took that seriously and it hurt, and we're thinking through it. And then I started to realize that a lot of times when people said that, sometimes there may have been validity, but a lot of times it was, these were people who weren't willing to invest in community and friendships, but wanted the benefit of it.
Right.
So they want it when they want it.
Yep.
I want to pick this toy up and I want you to be my friend. When I'm done, I want you to put it over here.
Yep.
So just some thoughts.
That's good, man. I love it.
Yeah. We're in a weird place lately. Hey, hopefully, what effects to have? Yeah, I think we're lonelier. Like I said, I wanted to answer the last part. I think we're lonelier. I think that it actually hinders marriages in some ways because we are lonelier and grumpier, and we put too much pressure on the spouse. Because if she is my only friend, my wife, that's a lot of weight to be my only support.
That's a good point to bring up.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Having a weird day yourself, huh?
I feel it's funny. You mentioned like calm, and I feel like
What's
like I'm in
happening?
a weird I don't know how to explain it. It's like a weird.
Not using words.
I feel like I'm in like this weird bubble of like I'm truly analyzing everything you're saying, and like it's like, huh. I don't know. That's what real talk is, I guess.
Will you guys let us know if this is truly, we got last week, I think, we have thousands of views on the live, but that's easier. On the pre-recorded, we tend to get views.
Yeah.
We had like 200 last week, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So there's 200. Would you let us know if this is blessing you, or are you encouraging, or like, let's have a dialogue? Sometimes we can go, man, is this benefiting anyone?
Yeah.
So those of you that have commented, thank you so much. We see those and it gets us through and encourages sometimes.
It really does. It's
because that kind of made me think what you said, analyzing, and you're like, man, is it resonating with anyone else? So anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. You got anything else?
Thank you guys so much. Like, share, comment on this video. Like our Facebook page. What is it? Like, follow, see first. Man, you gotten so good at it. I always forget.
You're gonna have to open up next week.
Nice. I'll do my best.
Yep.
If you did that to me one time, like on the second episode, like, hey Jay, how much time real talk is? And I was like, anyways, yes, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys. You guys are the reason why we do this. What started as just an idea sprouted into what this is now with, us being able to bless people, not even just in this town, but man, just different states.
All the way down to Australia.
That's right.
Shout out to Renee.
I think her name is
Hey Renee. Hope you're watching. Let us know if you are.
That's right. Even out of the country. So what a cool ministry this has turned out to be, and that's all because of you guys. So thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Also, be on the if you guys have any things you'd love to see us talk about. Well, I told you can put the comments below, but I'm sorry, in the link above. But if you have something you'd love to see, even like with our set as we get ready to change, or if you have cool ideas, post those below in the comments. We'd love to dialogue. We're open to cool ideas.
Absolutely.
And places to go. We've played around
Always
with
open to that
having
stuff.
people coming. One thing we are going to do, we are going to start releasing this as a podcast too.
Yep.
So we'll let you know and keep you updated, but this will be released on all podcast formats. Yeah, that's right. We said it. All podcast formats.
Get ready, Tim.
We'll figure it out. They're like, who's Tim? Anyway, I don't think, who knows if he even watches these. But that'd be something cool because we know a lot of people watch these podcasts anyway. We want to bring on some guests and really just have some dialogue. So we're excited. But join us this Thursday at 9 o'clock for Real Talk Live.
Boom.
We will have some fun. We also have our former champ coming back.
That's right. The former champ is coming back.
The champ, meaning most views. He was overtaken recently by the lovely Kirsten. We just saw her today.
Yep, she works at the local
Center of Nutrition. That's general.
That's right.
So you can go check that out. But he's coming back this Thursday. We're excited about that. Let's see if he can get reclaim the throne.
He said he's motivated. He wants to do it.
Nice, or reclaim the belt. Other than that, we hope you guys have a great day, and truly, God bless you.